everyone. It's Pastor Kathleen from First Presbyterian, and I'm glad that you're able to be with us today for this Time with Youth video. Today, I'm filming our Time with Youth video in my kitchen, and we're going to be talking about communion, because tomorrow in worship, we will have the sacrament of communion as part of our virtual worship. And when we do that at church, we tell the story of when Jesus took the bread and broke it and gave it to his disciples, and then he pours out the cup, and then we all come forward and we eat from the same plate and we dip our bread in the same cup, right? And we talk about how communion is something where we are brought together as a community. So it's different when we're all worshiping in our own houses. So today I want to talk a little bit about what that means when we're doing communion from our own kitchens. So I am sharing this with you from my kitchen. So first of all, I'm going to read us a scripture passage. You have your listening ears and ready to hear? This is from Matthew's Gospel, and this is the story of the Last Supper when Jesus and the disciples are sitting around the table and Jesus does the first communion with his disciples. So let's listen to the scripture first. While they were eating, Jesus took the bread and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take, eat, this is my body." And then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." And that's our story of the scripture. And oh, Claire's here. Claire's going to help me to talk about how we do communion at home, right? Because what Jesus is doing in the story of the Last Supper, where our communion is based off of, is he's just taking the bread and the cup that were already on his table. They were the things that were part of the normal food that the disciples would be eating as a normal dinner or a normal meal in their time. And part of that was bread and the cup, which would have been full of wine in Jesus's time. And at church, we usually put grape juice in our cup, right? So that's usually what you're getting when you're having communion at church. And so we're used to that. We're used to bread and cup, and I stand up front and I break it. But that might not be what you have at home. And I'm guessing you don't have a communion set at home either. So we're not going to talk about bread and grape juice today. We're going to look at some other options.
Cinnamon swirl bread.
Okay, well maybe the cinnamon swirl bread. You want to keep that in the options?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some options that you might have at home, right, Claire? So what do you think people could use that would be normal to their table, just like Jesus took the food that was normal to his table?
There's sandwich bread for one thing.
There's some sandwich bread, yeah.
Hamburger buns.
Oh, yep, we have a hamburger bun here. I don't know what everybody can see around their cups here. So we got hamburger buns. What else do we have that might be normally on our tables? Yeah.
A donut.
We have a donut because we had some donuts this morning. You might not have donuts normally on your table, but if you do, you could have communion with a donut.
We also have crackers.
Crackers, yeah.
Cinnamon swirl bread, which is absolutely delicious.
Okay, got some of that in the house right now.
Pretzel sticks.
Yeah, that's another thing that we usually have in our house.
And cereal.
Yep, you could do cereal, right? Because you could take your mini wheat and you could dip that in something, right?
This looks like a little bite mini wheat.
Yeah.
What the heck?
So we have some mini wheats. So what could you do for drinks? What are some normal drinks that you have around your house?
There's orange juice.
Orange juice.
If you want to do a breakfast communion, I'd recommend the orange juice and the donut.
Okay, to do an orange juice and donut communion. Yep, what else we have?
We have some water.
Yeah, water in the monkey cup.
Very boring. Kids, why don't you just request this part for your parents?
Oh yeah, that would be a boring communion. Is that what you're saying?
There's milk.
Okay.
Which might taste a bit weird with all of it. And some tea.
Tea? Yep. So you could do some tea or coffee, maybe for the grown-ups. Yeah, so we've got some tea, you've got milk, orange juice, water. What is normally in your house? Because that's the key piece about communion, is Jesus took what was ordinary, what was usually on the table, and he made it special. Jesus made it something that was just ordinary and everyday. He made it special by blessing it and breaking it and offering it to others. And then he took the cup and he said, "This is special, I am blessing this. And now that is special, and it will sustain you and nurture you and remind you of the covenant that God has with us. That's one of the big church words, right? Covenant. It's that promise that God makes to us.
And you just put your hands on the teeth.
I did put my hands on the teeth. But the promise that God makes to us, that God will always be with us, right? Our cup, doesn't really matter what's in your cup. Our cup is a reminder of that covenant promise that God is going to be with us no matter what. And the bread, whatever bread it is, you want to take your sandwich bread. If you're at home and it's communion time, take your bread, whatever it might be, and break it as a reminder that Jesus offered himself for us. Jesus was willing to be broken. You broke the pretzel? Very nice. We break the bread as a reminder of Christ's offer to us, of the way that Christ is with us.
What about the donut? It's already broken.
Yeah, well, maybe it's already broken. And we take the cup as a reminder of the promise that God will always be with us. So it doesn't really matter what you find in your kitchen. But what is important when we're celebrating communion together is that we remind ourselves that God can take what is ordinary, God can take what's on our tables every day and make it special and help us to continue to come together and to continue to be God's people and to remind each other that Jesus has shown us the way to new life and that God has made the covenant with us to be with us forever.